Slow, baby, some slow breathing to get me relaxed. Hey, this is Dreamweaver. Can have some H2O. I'm going to indulge in a little edibles. I don't have much left. Probably not even 400. There might be 300 in here. But I'm still going to... Well, actually, let me count them. Let me try to count them. I see one ring. I see two rings. I see 3 rings. There might be almost 4 rings. There actually might be almost 4. Which means I might be having between 700 to 800 milligrams. And you know what? It's been weeks since I've had a delivery, and I'm now out. Once I finish this up, it's time for me to place another delivery anyway. Place another order for a delivery, that is. I'll have to let them know about my melted gummy. Look at that. The whole thing was like that. The guy probably had the bag on his front seat with the sun baking it for an hour or two. And then he forgot to shade it. And it just melted the whole thing. I'm not going to say the name of the company though, because I like what they did. Their service has been awesome. So I don't know. I'm not going to stir up any trouble. I'm just showing the world that sometimes your gummies won't be rings, they'll be blobs. They're supposed to look like this. And there's supposed to be like 25 of them in there. Instead I had 2 big blobs. And I had the other half of this blob yesterday. And it left me feeling pretty good. So I'm hoping this will do the same today. Also stay hydrated. Stay high, baby. Stay high, stay cool. Stay hydrated. Be no one's fool. Water's the best. The best in the West. And the West is the best. When you put on Snoop Dogg's vest and pull out a joint, maybe a blunt. Hello. Pausing this for a second. Here on Live Again 420, stand by. Okay, I'm back. Had to pause it for a second. I couldn't control myself. I actually finished off the rest of this while it was paused. What an idiot. So there's about a 2-minute period where I'm consuming edibles and it's not on video. And that's super rare for me. Only reason is because my buddy walked in, he's going to go get some lunch. And I'm hungry. That's why I'm eating these chips. I need some real food. He's going to go get some pho, some Asian food from the Philippines, I believe. Vegetarian. I'm getting a vegetarian meal with jalapenos, of course, and I'm not sure what it's going to end up being. Rice or noodles or a common. I don't know. We'll see. But I'll try to share it here on Live Again 420. Okay. I need to get to work. Wow. The writing is so small on this package. Even with my reading glasses, I'm not sure if I can even read the directions. Mix one packet with 300, couldn't be 360, with 60. It's just way too small. I'm not even going to try. Not going to try. What I am going to try is just pouring some water in this tumbler thing. That might be half of it, roughly. I'm going to drop this ball in here, even though probably not necessary for something like this, but now I'm going to shake it up like a Cars song. Rest in peace, Rick. Rest in peace, Benjamin. Rest in peace, all who are no longer with us on the plains of this planet, but elsewhere, wherever you might be. I hope that you are resting in groovy peace, and that there is abundant happiness. It's about the only thing that you ever feel again. A tranquil state of no worry. Kind of like the way things used to be before we were born, before I was born, before you were born. You remember how things used to be before you were born? I kind of remember how things were before I was born. And I don't mind that world. My world was just fine before I was born. And my world will be just fine after I pass. Because I'll just return to the cosmic energy of the universe. And I hope that, the entire universe will survive no matter what. But, little parts of it. Its organs, like the planet Earth is, in theory, like an organ of the universe. It's just an important part. Every part's important, and every person, and every creature, and every item, whether it's a pair of glasses or or this drink or a rock, or a human being or a pet, or an animal being led to slaughter, so someone can just grub on the meat of their conquest. That might have been okay, 1,000 years ago, and even maybe 500 and 400 years ago. Maybe even 200 years ago, maybe even barely 100 years ago. But we've evolved, or at least we're supposed to have evolved, except we stopped evolving as the human species. We started just saying, okay, things are good enough now. This is where we're going to stop evolving now. Some people understand that, killing an animal just to eat its flesh isn't cool, and as a matter of fact, it's horrible. And it's not good for the planet, and it's not good for the human body. It's not good for your mind or your spirit. And again, not good for the environment or the planet or the poor animal that's being mercilessly slaughtered. And its comrades are just looking in shock, I'm sure, most of the time. And that's a horrible picture to even envision or picture, but we need to all understand, it's like there's so many amazing plant-based proteins available. I mean, we could work on improving them over the next couple years to where they'll just be mind-blowingly delicious. and teach people how to cook using these plant-based proteins, and you know, and go vegetarian, everybody. Try to go vegan if possible, you know, and science and other things without getting GMOs involved, because everything has to remain organic and everything has to remain non-GMO in the future world that I envision. You know, and there's no reason it can't happen. There's no reason it can't happen. The solutions are so easy. Okay, that's pretty good actually. And the flavor just about right. So I'm glad that I decided to go with you know, about half the package with not even a full bottle of water. Like, this is 1.06 pints or 500 milliliters. I probably only had about 400 millimeters, maybe 380 millimeters actually left in here, and I think I put a little less than half of the package in here with a little more than half the package left. So when I make the second one and I use a full bottle, it'll probably taste very similar, which is, it's actually perfect. The flavor, it's got 0 calories in it, I think. It's too small for me to read, and it's got a lot of nutritional value to it without a lot of bullshit to hurt your body. You know, but you know, it's designed to fill you up. Is really what it's supposed to do more than anything. And it's supposed to give you nutrition before, during, and after your workout by just whatever's in it. All Day You May is the brand name, I think. So, and then this muscle-bound, tattooed dude, Rich Piana, maybe? 5% nutrition is what this package is called, and it's endorsed by, I guess, this weightlifter slash, I don't know if he's in a martial arts or some boxing or something else, or just a bodybuilder. Probably just a bodybuilder. But you know what? I'm going to put this aside for another time and have another sip of this. Okay. I'll be back in a minute, my friends. So you'll be back way before he's here. Yes. So then I won't worry about closing out until you get back. away. Okay, my turtle-bound friends, and a partridge in a pear tree. I think I'm going to wrap this one up in a minute or two, you see. Because I'm not doing anything. I'm not even in the room half the time. I'm not even on video half the time. I'm not talking half the time. This will be a halftime nothing episode of Alive Again 420, but we'll always wrap it up by letting you know about my story, Decade of Destruction, which you can read on my website, aliveagain420.com, by clicking on the Pod Cave. The Pod Cave is on the home page of aliveagain420.com, and once you enter the Pod Cave, you're going to find 3 doorways, at least 3 doorways. A couple of them won't work for a little while. The door to the ugly dimension will, though. So look at the door to the good dimension, look at the door to the bad dimension. Realize that both of those will not be operational for at least a couple months, and then open the door to the ugly dimension, and that's where you'll find my story entitled Decade of Destruction. 12 years of demise, 15 years of misery. True story. It's my recounting of what's happened to me over the last 15 years, and how devastating the overall impacts and results have been on my life and on my family's life, especially over the last 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, which is why I call it Decade of Destruction, because the results and the impacts have been so terrible that they've been destructive, not only to me, but to my brother and to my fiance, to our 3 dogs, Java, Jack, and Jet, to our happiness at the time, and to our happiness in the future, to our security and hopefulness for a decent future, all just taken away, all just out of utter ineptness and even worse, super bad neglect. Like, I've been treated like I don't exist by this company over and over and over and over and over and over. And I don't want to talk about it or think about it much, because it really puts me back in a super depressed state of mind. And I'm trying to lift myself. I'm trying to lift my spirit, with the thanks of amazing stuff like these THC-infused edibles. I'd be smoking my bong if I were home, if I hadn't been evicted from my home. Evicted from my home for a bunch of shit that was done to me to make it impossible for me to be happy there, and to make it impossible for me and my family to actually even afford to live there in the first place. I've hung in there for more than 12 years. After the first really super, super terrible thing happened. And I was able to hang in there about 12 years, even though the last 1 year has been horrible. Even though I used the last 8 months to heal myself, I decided I'm going back to my vegetarian ways. I'm going back to being organic and non-GMO, to eating the food that makes my body feel good. And actually, I've been doing that for close to a year and a half now. But I was able to afford to do it a year and a half ago, and even up to about a year ago, and then I just reached the point where, okay, I can no longer, I'm having trouble affording to pay the rent unless I sell some more of my personal items, and I should never have to have sold a single thing, and I've sold, my entire life is almost gone. I've sold everything that really mattered to me, because everything that mattered to me is the expensive stuff that had value, that a pawn shop would take gladly, give me like 5% of what it's worth, laughing behind my back. But, you know, when you're desperate, when you're in that kind of situation, you don't have a choice. But it angers me the most that I was put into that situation, not because of anything I did that was wrong, or not, but anything I did or that my brother did, period. It's just the company that decided to evict us made it so it was just impossible for us to live a peaceful, uninterrupted life of just, okay, this is our home, this is our house, we're in here, we're minding our own business. Well, you know, we can be happy. Yet our invasion got private. You know, our privacy got invaded a couple times. My brother got peeped in on several times by neighbors across the street. They didn't do it on purpose, but my brother didn't allow for it to happen on purpose either. It's just a weird scenario that would never have existed had the manufactured home park management decided not to take a quick fix, and that's what they did. I finally figured it out. They took a quick fix, needed to rent that spot out, which had looked horrible. The entire first 2 or 3 years I lived in that park, here I am fixing my home up to be, for sure, one of the nicest in the entire park of more than 50 homes. And no one can argue that. And that's a part of my story as well, because it's like it shows that I have pride in ownership, and I have pride in myself, and I have pride in, you know, taking care of my family and being able to do so. But when all those things get taken away from you, your pride gets taken away from you. And then you start feeling humiliated. And when managers refer to you as a sand blanker, that's the in word to fill in the blank. And what a horrible word. You know, it's like, I feel like I should have a right to say it, you know, but, you know, because I've been called it. But see, it's such an ugly word that I don't even really want to say it. And I've expressed exactly what the word is for most people will understand. You know, a racial slur for someone who's Middle Eastern, even though I'm only 25% Middle Eastern technically. You know, my father had some Greek and Italian on his mom's side, a Middle Eastern father. I had him as my dad, and may he rest in peace. He passed 10 years ago. Passed away about 10 years and 1 month ago. So it's been a little more than a decade since he passed, and it's been the worst decade of my life. And if he had been here and in health, oh, he would have been able to help me for sure, and none of this nonsense would have happened. But his cancer, and then him being sick enough where he was unable to really function, and then my family being repeatedly abused by this company that ultimately just took everything away from my brother to my fiance, to hundreds of thousands of dollars flushed down the toilet, to all the things that brought me joy and happiness, besides my family, my brother, my fiance, my 3 dogs, but all the material possessions I had that most of them I barely got to enjoy because, you know, from the first year or two I lived there was just nothing but problems with the house, and me trying to figure out, you know, I wanted to get this affordable home, this affordable manufactured home, a decent brand, a Fleetwood, and when we received it, it was in fine condition, you know. But we didn't realize that underneath the house, there was 4 jacks missing out of the required how many you're supposed to be under, probably close to like 50 jacks. But an entire row of 4 were missing. And that was the most shocking thing that Tom, the guy who owned the company or still owns the company, with nothing but 5-star Yelp reviews. He doesn't even have a single 4-star review, or no 3 or 2 or 1-star reviews, or no negative comments, period. 5-star, 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 all the way 5-star for Tom and his company that specialize in the releveling of manufactured homes, but they also do anything involving fixing up or repairing or improving your manufactured or modular home. You know, from of course the releveling to making sure it's tip top, and then they come back every year to you just keep it perfectly tweaked, and they include that. At least they used to include that as part of the, you know, they're very affordable, very reasonable price to have the work done. And if your home isn't screwed up and given to you in the bad shape that mine had been given to me, I probably would have spent maybe $100 to get the house re-leveled, and you know, and then every so often, you know, would have to do that. But when the house starts within 6 months, has already formed big cracks in 2 walls and the ceiling, and the doors and windows aren't opening for the majority of the time unless you really force them, and doorknobs are breaking off because it's just, the house is so unlevel that nothing works. The doors don't work properly and get stuck often. The windows don't open and close properly and will get stuck sometimes or not close sometimes. with hot air blowing through them sometimes on a summer day, or cold air blowing through them on a winter's day. And you're sitting on the couch trying to enjoy some TV out in the living room, and you feel like, sometimes I feel two breezes, one from the window right next to me, right next to the couch, and the one like right that goes to the driveway, the one you can look right out and see the driveway. And I can feel air coming in from both directions. And Julie probably even remembers some of the badness, even though she didn't move to San Diego until after Tom had just done the work. Their company had re-leveled my house, and Tom told me that he wouldn't be able to get it close to perfect, nowhere close to perfect. He let me know. I said, sorry, my friend, it's such a bad job. And by the way, I've never seen a worse job in my entire career than what I see under your house. 4 jacks missing being the biggest problem, and that's illegal. And I'm glad he told me that stuff, and I can't believe it had totally slipped my mind over the last 7, 8, 9 years, because I didn't realize that would be an important piece of information I could use for the case that I hoped would never happen. The case I never wanted to happen, and the only reason it happened is because I sent them a nice letter on April 6th via email, and they deny I sent it. And possibly I could have made a mistake during my broken, just life falling apart era, and not attached that email, and only sent the pictures. So there is that tiny possibility, but that wasn't on purpose. But it doesn't matter. They didn't reply to my August 6th email of the 2 pictures or actually I sent them 5 pictures of the rebar spike, and then with it, my whole letter explaining why, my life had become kind of broken, and I needed them to give me a chance, and help me even make arrangements. I didn't write this in the letter for them to help me, but basically I was just hoping that they would, help me get my money from overseas, and, it's like I've been so broken that I'd even tried to contact my bank overseas, but it's in Dubai, the UAE, and I'm in America, and I'm born American, even though I wasn't born in America. I was born American, and I'm glad to be it. I love to be an American, and I'm proud to be an American. But it has to be people that understand human rights and have respect for other people, and that's the America that I love. That's the America that I hope we have more and more of. And Black lives matter, Asian lives matter, Hispanic lives matter, Caucasian lives matter, Middle Eastern lives matter. It doesn't matter if you're from Norway or Sudan, whether you're from China or Pakistan, whether you're from Texas or Maine, whether you're from Miami or Spain. As long as you're cool and groovy, and in your heart you love people, and you love the human race, and you love this planet, and you want this planet to thrive, and you want this planet to grow and to improve and to become healthy. And in order to do that, you're going to have to understand that you have to give up meat. There are plant-based proteins now, my friends. Plant-based proteins. You'll save the planet. You'll save your health. If you do everything that I'm talking about, and the younger you start, the better off you're going to be. Not only will the planet heal, but so many people's healths will heal, and the world will become stronger and more energized because of it. And the good feeling of this earth will radiate, and the planet will finally celebrate that it's being taken good care of, and God, whatever God you believe in, will finally smile in the cosmic way that only supreme beings are able of. And that brings me to the concept of God, and I talk about that on my episodes every once in a while. I believe in whatever God you believe in, to a certain degree, because I believe in all gods, but what I don't believe is I think that religions have screwed up the concept of Godism and gods by, we want to label the God to look the closest to us or act the way that we kind of act already. Well, you know what? God isn't only here for humans, and we like to fool ourselves to think that, God will only, create, his greatest species, in the likeness of him or her or it or whatever the power is that you believe in that might exist or might not exist. I don't know, but in my opinion, I think be good to all other people, be good to yourself, be fair, be honest, Be good to this planet. Be good to the creatures on this planet. Go solar. Um, if you have to, use transportation, have an electric vehicle, or even better yet, ride your bicycle or walk, or use public transit. But of course, also stay safe, regarding any kind of viruses, whether it's COVID-19 or who knows what else is going to happen in the future. And hopefully in the future, we'll be prepared and we'll know how to deal with it. Such an embarrassment what's happened over the last year or so. It's just, it hasn't been quite a year since it started, but it seems like about 3 already. And again, it's November 5th now. I have no idea who won the election. I don't know if anyone knows officially yet. But I just hope this planet starts healing. And I want to make that part of my mantra and my missions. My mission statement is, to believe in the power of positivity, and to believe in peace, love, happiness, and happiness, to stay high, to stay cool, to stay kind, to stay woke, to never forget that Black Lives Matter, baby. That ain't no joke. You got to become an anti-racist. You got to believe that people are equal and should be treated equal. And we were created equal. We are equal. We should be treated equal. Treated equal, treated equally. Doesn't matter what color you are, or how tall you are, or how short, how gay or straight or bi or trans, or none of that stuff has anything to do with you being a human being and you just having the basic rights, which translate into equal rights of any other human being. And we could get rid of poverty on this planet. We could get rid of hunger. We could get rid of water shortages. We could, and we could create a planet that works together, where the people don't compete against each other. They work together to make everything better. And suddenly, what do you know? It's like the most amazing Disneyland movie, screenplay, or script you can imagine. I should write it. And that should be my vision. And I should have Pixar put together like an amazing story of the stoner who figured out the solution to saving the planet, the environment, all its people, and how easy it was to do. And all it required was just people being nice to other people, taking care of each other, being honest, being fair. And the more the people did it, the more they realized that it felt so good that they didn't not want to do it anymore. And then suddenly we're living a whole different vibe, a whole different feeling, and the planet is just healing like crazy, because we're not raping it anymore. We're not pillaging it. We're not destroying it. We're not smashing it and crashing it and tearing it apart.